Okay, welcome to our video on add and subtract whole numbers. Make sure that you write down the add and subtract whole numbers as the title on the top of your piece of paper, and in the first line you should have the learning target written down. In the margin, I want you to label the learning target. You can just put LT in the margin, and then you're going to write it down. And the learning target is students can solve real-world problems by adding or subtracting whole numbers. Okay, so make sure you write that down. I'm going to move on, so if you need to pause, go ahead and pause the video. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay, in our first example, we're going to be adding whole numbers. So write down example 1, adding whole numbers, and then I'm going to go over each example. So you're going to write them down, okay, and show all the work that I go over in class. First, when you add whole numbers, you need to remember to line up place values. So ones need to line up, tens need to line up, hundreds need to line up, thousands need to line up. So the first one is just going to be 3476, so 3,476 plus 7,492. Make sure you line up place values. In this case, they both have the same number of place values, so it's easy to line up. Then you just add down. 6 plus 2 is 8. 7 plus 9 is 16. So I'm going to put the 6, carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. 3 plus 7 is 10, so you get 10,968. That's it. Make sure you circle your answer. Commas are not needed, but you can use them. They help identify the number a little bit easier. Alright, moving on to B. I have 12,095 plus 2,543. So first I'm going to put the 12,095 plus, and then here I got to make sure I line up my place values. So I'm not going to put the 2 underneath the 1, the 5 under the 2, the 4 under the 0, and the 3 under the 9. Okay, I don't line them to the right. I'm going to line up place values. It's not always about pushing them to the right either. It's about making sure that your ones, whatever's in the ones place, line up. Okay, so that 3 is going to go there, 4 is in the tens is going to go there, 5 is in the hundreds, it's going to go there, and 2 is in the thousands, it is going to go there. So there's our ones place, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s place. You have to make sure that when you add and subtract, you're lining up place values. Now we add them. 5 plus 3 is 8. 9 plus 4 is 13. Put the 3, carry the 1. 1 plus 0 plus 5 is 6. 2 plus 2 is 4. 1 plus nothing is 1. And so you get 14,638. And that's how you add whole numbers. Okay, if you need to pause or rewind, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to be moving on to the next example. In the next example, we're going to be subtracting whole numbers. Okay, same thing as adding. We have to line up place values. So I'm going to have 634 minus 287. Ones, tens, hundreds, place values all line up. Now when I go to subtract, I cannot do 4 minus 7. 7 minus 4 is 3, but 4 minus 7 is not 3. So I have to borrow. So when I borrow, I add 10 to the 4 to make it 14. Now what am I borrowing from? Well, I'm borrowing 1 from the tens place. That's why I'm adding 10. Okay, because when you have a set of 10, you get to move that over to the ones in the tens place. So I do 4 plus 10 is 14, and I have to take away one of my tens, and that becomes 2. Okay, that still represents the same number, it's just unsimplified now. Now I can subtract. 14 minus 7 is 7. Now I do 2 minus 8. I can't do 2 minus 8, so I have to borrow. I take 1 from the hundreds place. I add 10 to this because 10 tens equal 100. So that goes down by 1, and I add 10 to the 2, and that becomes 12. Now when I subtract, 12 minus 8 is 4. 5 minus 2 is 3, and I get 347. Okay, in B, I'm going to subtract 12,000 minus 8,724. Again, make sure you line up those place values. So I'm going to write down, I subtract. I cannot do 0 minus 4, so I have to borrow. That becomes 10. I have nothing to borrow from. So here's what I have to do. This is key. I have to borrow from that, and borrow all the way down there. That's going to become a 1. These other ones are all going to become 9, okay, because they're not going to become 10s because I'm continually borrowing for the next section. So they become 9. So the one on the far right is 10, but then all the other zeros until I get to a whole non-zero number becomes a 9. Now I can subtract. 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 2 is 7. 9 minus 7 is 2. Cannot do 1 minus 8, so I have to borrow from that, make it 0, make that 11. 11 minus 8 is 3. 3,276. Okay, if you need to pause, rewind, or watch anything again, go ahead. Otherwise, that's the end of the video. Have a great night.